All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to get inside the minds of scammers and, just as importantly, their victims to really understand the psychology that makes modern fraud so effective.
Let's just kick things off with a number that is, well, it's pretty hard to wrap your head around. According to the 2024 Global State of Scams report, that's how much criminals managed to steal in just 1 year. We're talking over $1 trillion, and that's not from big corporations, that's from everyday people.
So a number that massive, it just begs the question, right? This isn't just about some clever technology or a few people getting unlucky. This goes way deeper, into a fundamental misunderstanding of why these tactics work on so many of us all over the world. So, in this explainer, we are going to pull apart the common myths that we all tell ourselves about scams. We're going to look at who really becomes a victim, why those so-called red flags are so easy to miss, and most importantly, what we can actually do to fight back. Okay, let's tackle the biggest, most damaging myth right out of the gate. This idea that, to get scammed, you have to be a bit naive or gullible or maybe just not that bright. It's a comfortable story to believe, but the actual data? It tells a completely different one.
And this next part? Well, it really forces us to check our own biases. Because when researchers actually dug into the profiles of victims, what they found completely flips that old stereotype on its head.
Just take romance scams, for instance, one of the most financially and emotionally devastating types of fraud out there. Research from the journal Cyberpsychology, Behavior, and Social Networking found that the typical victim is not at all who you might picture. They're often middle-aged, they're well-educated, and in 60% of cases, they're women. So this clearly isn't about a lack of smarts. It's about something much, much more human.
And that leads to what experts call the double hit. Victims don't just lose their money. They also lose a relationship they genuinely believed was real. And for so many, that emotional betrayal is actually far more traumatic than the financial hit. Some have even compared it to the grief of losing a loved one.
So here's the absolute key to understanding this. It's not a test of your logic, it's a direct attack on your biology. Scammers are experts at manipulating our brain chemistry. By faking love and connection, they trigger a flood of powerful hormones like dopamine and oxytocin, the same chemicals that create real bonds of trust and love. That chemical cocktail can literally short-circuit the rational part of our brain.
And this quote from Psychology Today just nails it. Falling for this kind of manipulation has nothing to do with being stupid or gullible. It has everything to do with being human. And it's that very humanness that's being exploited.
Okay, let's move on to the second big myth we tell ourselves. That scams are easy to spot, full of bad grammar and crazy stories. And yeah, some of the old ones were like that. But today's scammers, they are absolute masters of persuasion, and they've gotten very good at making those red flags almost invisible.
They've managed to do this by going beyond simple tricks. Now, they exploit the fundamental shortcuts our brains use every single day to make decisions, especially when we're stressed or rushed or feeling emotional.
Psychologists call this two-system thinking. Think of System 1 as your brain's autopilot. It's fast, it's emotional, it runs on gut feelings. It handles something like 98% of our daily choices. Then you've got System 2, that's the pilot. It's slow, careful, and analytical. A scammer's single most important goal is to keep you stuck in System 1.
So, how do they do that? It's usually a three-punch combo. First, they create urgency, a problem with your bank account, a prize that's about to expire. Second, they trigger a really strong emotion, like fear or excitement. And third, they demand you act right now, before your logical System 2 has a chance to kick in and go, hang on a second. Does this really make any sense?
And they layer on top of this these proven psychological triggers. They abuse the principle of authority, pretending to be from your bank or the tax office. They use scarcity, telling you an investment opportunity is about to disappear forever. They'll create fake social proof with tons of fake positive reviews. And they'll use liking by either building a fake friendship or just impersonating a brand that you already know and trust.
So if our own psychology is literally being weaponized against us, what are we supposed to do? Well, the fight back starts with a really simple but powerful mantra from organizations like Australia's ScamWatch: stop, check, protect. It's all about creating that moment of pause that lets our logical brain get back in the game.
Okay, so let's get practical. Understanding these vulnerabilities isn't about feeling defeated. It's actually the very first step toward arming ourselves. And in today's world, that means knowing what new tools we have at our disposal.
Because, let's be honest, the threat has changed dramatically. The old advice like, just look for spelling errors, well, that's just not going to cut it anymore. Scammers are using AI to write perfect emails and deepfakes to clone voices. That's why we're seeing a new wave of tools designed not to replace our judgment, but to give it a much-needed boost.
For example, there's a whole new category of AI tools being developed to specifically spot the psychological tricks we've been talking about. You can feed them a suspicious text message or a screenshot, and the AI analyzes it for those System 1 triggers, things like emotional manipulation, false urgency, or signs of impersonation. It then gives you a simple risk rating, basically acting like an outside consultant for your brain, helping you engage your logical System 2 to make a safe call.
So the crucial takeaway here is this. Scammers have turned our own human nature into their greatest weapon, and now they're using AI to make it even more powerful. But understanding their playbook is the first step to writing our own. When we get rid of the shame and realize we're all vulnerable, we empower ourselves. And just as important, we empower ourselves to protect the people around us. The real question is, are we ready to fight back?